Hello everyone. I have decided to do a video and use an illustration because words can't really explain the wordless essence of life. So before I pick my whiteboard up, it's just to illustrate that we never actually entered the game of life. But there are characters in the game and we can be really familiar with the character, extremely familiar. But we never actually got identified with the character. We never actually endured any suffering. It's just the game of life. And that game does not mean it's something that is taken seriously or something that's not taken seriously. It's just the game of life. To give it a meaning would be just a personal perception on it. So I've drawn a picture. As you're going to tell, art is not one of my strongest points, but I've drawn a picture and I'm using something as simple as the sun, because the sun is life-giving. It gives energy. Nothing can be here without the sun. Nothing can stand without the sun. So if I use the sun to represent the essence of life, the existence, the attributeless, the nature of the sun is attributeless, but what comes from the attributeless is energy, love, light, abundance, because that is how the earth can be replenished. It's through the energy of the sun. Obviously, it's not just the sun, it also takes water, which is what we call rain. But I'm just going to focus on the sun. So, I think I've got to stand up because this board, I think you can see, right, as you can see at the top, it says life essence. It looks back to front on my camera, so I hope that when I stop the recording, it actually spells life essence the right way. But it's life essence, and that's the sun. And you can see all of those rays. All of those rays are part of the sun. They are the sun. They're not separate from the sun. They come from the sun, and they are the sun. So it's a bit like saying you are the self, you are the isness of life, you are the never changing and the changing. So each ray, I've separated them, but there's no separation because they're all coming from the sun. They're emanating from the sun. But if we use the game of life, so if you imagine that you are the sun, that's all that you can ever be. And there's a ray, and I've put some arrows. There's one ray that we're going to focus on. And in that ray, we've got a house, a car, a cat, and a family. That's the, what can we call it? That's the story. So that is a story. Now, the sun doesn't move. It doesn't get involved in the ray, but that's what the ray, that's what, when the sun shines, that's what it shines on. It shines on that family. Those little red circles, we're going to call those conditionings, programs. We can call them thoughts, we can call them feelings, we can call them what we want, but they are coming from the sun. They're like dust particles. And they affect the story. So they affect the car, the house, the cat, the parents, and the little children. And you'll see over here, this is just showing another ray homing in on a tower block. So although all of this looks separate, the car looks separate from the house, the cat is separate from its owners, the family are all separate. It's all coming from the one source. So there is no separation from here. The sun is just shining. It's not separate. However, down here, the characters in the movie, they have the option to feel separate. And that actually is the name of the game. The aim of the game, when the sun shines and all the rays come down, so you are the sun and you have got millions and billions of rays. And one of those rays is the body mind of Amanda. She's one of the rays of the sun. And the body mind Amanda is nothing to do with the sun. She is the ray, and she shows up in the ray. She's the character, she's the actress. And Amanda's role was to become spiritually enlightened, to understand the makings of the mind, understand emotions, understand the physical body, understand the body of bliss, and understand the wisdom body. It doesn't mean that the character has gained anything, because it doesn't really exist. The thing that exists is the sun, the life-giving essence. And that's who you are. You are the sun. You never, ever, ever became the character. So the character can go through everything. It can go through suffering. It can go through learning. It can go through being a teacher. It can go through likes and dislikes. And all that really does is the character's taken on a role of separation, suffering, unhappiness. But that's nothing to do with the sun. The sun is not happy or unhappy. It's just there, shining. So the nature of the game is to realise that you are the sun, and the sun is ever present and has no attributes. That's your true nature. It doesn't change. And the more that we recognise that we are the sun and not the character and the story, the more that we recognise that, and that is really, I suppose it's called sober, you know, being sober. The Bible often says, don't get drunk with wine, be sober. And the other sayings are, wake up, you're asleep. So it's just saying, recognise your true nature. And the true nature is just simply noticing. But one of the things that helps the true nature to know itself is the heart, which has got love. Love makes everything, it makes sense. When love is present, which is peace, harmony, goodness, kindness, compassion, lots of different words for love, when that is revealed to the self, paradoxical, love just makes it so easy. And that is what the sun is. The sun is love, because the sun doesn't say, you're a bad person, I'm not going to shine on you, and you're a good person, I'm going to shine on you. It just shines. It just gives energy and love to everything. There's no separation whatsoever. So it would be recognizing that you are not the character. You've never become the character. However, you can assume the role of the character, and in doing that from the impersonal aspect, which is the sun, being the sun, which is impersonal, you can create, or not, it's not that you that creates it, the field, because you are the sun, which has got so much potential and possibilities. That's who and what you are. And that field of potential and possibilities becomes, I shouldn't say it becomes available, it can be expressed easier through a character or through a story where the character has recognised that I don't really exist as a separate self, and recognises the source. And I think that's why the revelation of the breath, it can be used at any stage in life. It's the simple recognition that the breath is life breathing. It's the sun breathing. And if the sun is just one big thing and it's just this ray of sunshine, then that is where the breath is. The breath is in and out. It's master and servant. So all that said and done, a lot of teachers point to surrender. And I know we say, oh, well, you know, I need to surrender the surrenderer, surrendering happens. They're just words. Surrender just means understand this and let go. Because you are the sun. The body mind is part of the sun. It's the ray. So it's the changing side. It's the side that dances. It's the side that experiences. This is how the sun can experience its own projections, good or bad. So I hope that illustration has helped, because That's something that has become so natural and flowy from here, is to point things out through illustration, through parables, because we can all relate to earthly things. It just makes it gives it sense, even though there doesn't need to be any sense, but there kind of does. I just want to share, because I also know that testimonials are fantastic to, it kind of gives people permission to be themselves, because sometimes, you know, that sense of is what I am doing, is it right, is it wrong, the tendency for that can happen. And like I said, you are the sun, there is no right and wrong. Shining out, projecting out, that is your consciousness. And you cannot be destroyed, you can't be harmed. However, because the nature is love and intelligence, because it's love and intelligence that's going out from the beingness, life takes care of life. Life is neutral, but it takes care of life. It doesn't have any favourites. It doesn't have any likes and dislikes, attachments, aversions. And so the character can go through letting go of attachments, aversions, releasing, meditating. It can go through all of that. And that is just the dance, and it's beautiful. And some experiences are more favourable than others. It's a bit like going to what's the word? A theme park. You can go on the ghost train or you can go on the carousel. It doesn't really matter. They're just two different experiences. Some people love ghost trains. Me personally, I don't like horrors, but there was a time when I did, so I would have jumped on the ghost train and, you know, pretended and I'm going to be scared. But now I think, just now, I prefer the carousel. It just seems like a better ride. And if that's where you are, then it just means that it's the totality, it's the acceptance. So the story I want to share with you, and I find it really funny, was when I was little. I think I was about 5. I was at my grandparents' house, and I've got aunts and uncles that were only a few years older than me, and we were playing outside. I've got some aunts and uncles that are a lot older that wouldn't have been playing with me outside. They probably would have been overseeing, you know, making sure I didn't go into the road and so forth. And I remember running and I fell over. And I got up and there was a massive white patch on my leg, so it looked like my skin had come off. Obviously I'd grazed my leg, but I didn't know. And I cried. My God, did I cry. And everybody come rushing, oh, what's the matter? I've always been a drama queen. They said, what's the matter? I said, I've lost my skin. And I was looking for my skin. I thought that I'd lost a part of me and I was looking for it in the road. And nobody corrected me. Nobody said it's just a graze. And looking back, they was all lovingly just watching this little girl look for something that wasn't there, and nobody corrected me. When I think back, I laugh. I think, my God, you know, the intelligence of children, the intelligence of humans, full stop, the intelligence of life. And for that little girl to believe that she'd lost her skin. I literally was looking for a strip of skin that I was going to stick back on my leg. And I was really like dumbfounded. Where's my skin? Like, where is it? Where is my skin? And I'm sure a couple of my aunts and uncles were helping me to look for, because they were just playing the game with me. They saw it as, this is the innocence of life. And of course, I didn't find my skin because I didn't lose my skin. I'd grazed my skin. But it was just an innocent, would I say I was identified? Yeah, I must have been. But it doesn't stop the sun from being the sun. The character can have beliefs and have likes and dislikes, and the character can be upset. And I think King Solomon said it the best in the Bible, when he talks about there's a season for everything. There's a season to laugh, there's a season to cry, there's a season to be born, there's a season to die, there's a season to be rich, a season to be poor. Everything is allowed. And if we just see every step as a season, life is truly magical. Have an amazing day. Take care.